HF8 not happy. HF8 not happy. HF8 dead. Hello my friends, welcome to a new video. Today a review of the Next Level Racing HF8 Pro and a comparison to the older HF8. The design of the new HF8 Pro has been changed slightly in relation to the previous model. What strikes immediately is a difference in fabric that was used for the upholstery between both. The SimAero used on the HF8 Pro is a much softer and more breathable material than the faux leather on the HF8, and in my subjective opinion, it looks also just a bit more premium. The bolsters have been made less outspoken, with 3 cm less to fit better in seats, and the area for under the cuffs is made slightly wider for support. The bottom part is also made to be a bit thicker. While I read on the official Next Level Racing website that the foam used for the HF8 Pro is upgraded, I don't really see that much of a difference visually with the foam inside the HF8. There are 2 ways to connect the HF8 Pro, one via USB-A towards the PC and one via a 3.5mm jack that can be plugged into any sound output. Both cables to connect are sufficiently long, with 2.5 meters. The HF8 Pro also features an audio splitter to connect a wired headset. Controlling the volume and changing the function happens via the small box with a rotating encoder with push function. Both HF8 Pro and HF8 have 8 individual haptic motors, but according to Next Level Racing, the motors of the HF8 Pro have 200% more torque, 400% more power, and are 60% faster than those used in the HF8. When it comes to the price, the HF8 was €249 at the release and the HF8 Pro is €279. So it's still a €30 increase. Now the availability is from the Next Level Racing webshop or via dealers. And via dealers, well, there you can have a bit off the price. I have seen the HF8, for example, at this moment below €200 even. And this is probably the same for the HF8 Pro. The prices, they will go down a bit at the dealers, and after a year or two you will see that the price will go €250 or even a bit less. So it has been 2 years now that I have bought the HF8 original one and made a review from this, and what became clearer of the review is that it was a fantastic little system to have. It upped the immersion of your driving experience that much, and it was very easy also to use on both PC and console. That is what drew me to it. Like I said, it was the best buy that I had that year, and I really stick with it. Of course, it was not perfect, and for that reason, Next Level Racing, they decided to bring out the HF8 Pro. One of the things that Next Level Racing did for the HF8 Pro was to increase the capacity of the motor. So they say they are 400% more powerful than the original ones that were in the HF8. Now I don't really like those numbers, 400%. It's so difficult to measure if this is even correct, but you can absolutely feel the difference between the HF8 Pro's power and the HF8. It's absolutely amazing. The shifting feels, you can feel the shifting so much better with the HF8 Pro's power. Also, when you rev up high and you have the option activated, you can really feel it in your back. If you have a bit of a back issue, just rev it constantly to the red, and you will have a nice back massage here. What I also did was improve the reaction times of the little motors, and I can feel also when I shift a very direct response, you can feel the jolt directly. The curbs also, when you go over them, the delay is very good. Now, I drove with the HF8 before, and was there that much of a difference? Yeah, that I don't know, but the feeling that I have with the HF8 Pro, really fast reaction times, very crisp also. Yeah, amazing, amazing. I normally won't say that, yeah, if you want to improve something, add more power to it, like with a wheelbase or something. But I think that adding the power to the HF8 was really a good step from Next Level Racing. Now, there are also other things that have been improved, apart from the force and the reaction time, and that is the fabric that they used. So it gets a bit hot. Oh, yeah, it is hot outside, and what I noticed with the HF8 OG, that the fabric, well, it doesn't let your back breathe that much. And the fabric that they use now, the aero mesh, it feels like it is a bit more, yeah, there is a bit more room for air in it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I have a feeling that my back, it can breathe better through the mesh that they used. And like I said, it is getting very hot outside, so every bit of improvement on that area, yeah, I can only applaud them. Also feels very comfortable to sit in. I have a feeling, because with the HF8 it didn't bother me that much, but I can imagine after, if you drive on it for 1 hour, 2 hours, that you really are going to start the little motors, feel the little motors in your backside or in your bum. But here I have a feeling so that they, yeah, put a bit of a thicker cushioning in them. I already checked it, and it does seem to be a bit thicker, and it does help. You still feel them, the little motors, but a lot less than with the original HF8. So also there improvements that I can appreciate. So driving it with the HFS software, it's already pretty good, but still I do think that the Simhub software, it just goes a bit further than the HFS software. I have a much better distinction from left and right with the Simhub software than I have with the HFS software of Next Level Racing. There are so much more settings that you can use there, and it is also very fast to respond, the motors in Simhub. If you buy the HF8 and you're going to use it on PC, I would certainly give both the softwares a try. Of course, the HFS software is very straightforward, very simple, very basic interface. You don't have a lot of options, so it's very easy for those that are not that tech savvy. But if you are up to it, I would certainly check out the software of Simhub 2 in combination with this HF8. So after testing it in racing conditions, I thought it would be nice to have it also tested in BeamNG, like a good sim tourist. And well, here the same conclusions as I had in ACC. So the added power that you get, it's really noticeable in comparison with the older HF8, which was already fine for me. I mean, I really, the immersion that it brought extra was already very good. But yeah, this is just another level. I think for racers it's already for racing, I don't really think that it will add that much to the real competition aspect of racing, because I think that perhaps the extra haptics that you get, it might cloud a bit the haptics that you or the force feedback that you get from your wheelbase. But when we are talking fun, yeah, this is really the thing to get. It's such a fun extra detail that you get. Haptics in general, but with this HF8 Pro, yeah, it's fantastic. Now they also you can also use it, of course, for flight sims, but yeah, I don't have a flight sim, so I can't test it there. Now the thing with the HFS software is that, for example, there is no BeamNG in the software there. So for driving in BeamNG, I really rely on the Simhub software, which is free also, but to drive the HF8 Pro. Now I have to say that the software of of Next Level Racing has improved already when it comes to games. Already more games in it, but yeah, this one not in there, and I don't think ATS is in there either. And I will need to check that. Look at those sites. This is what for me sim tourism is about: driving in the mountains in Italy, not having to worry that you will fall off a cliff. It's a test that I also need to do. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, HF8 not happy. HF8 not happy. HF8 dead. And the car also. Yeah, no, also for BeamNG, it's really a fun added experience, this HF8 Pro. Nice. Just like the HF8, the HF8 Pro is also compatible with console. You just use the audio output of your controller and you plug in the jack from the HF8 Pro. You then use the splitter to attach a headset to, so you have the sound also in that headset. Now, using the sound as the driver of the haptics is not that interesting, because the sound that is generated, well, you don't have a large scale of different sensations that the haptics can perform. What I feel at this moment is, yeah, rumbling of the motor, so the revving of the motor is something that I feel, and if I shift, then I feel it softly. For the rest, I don't feel a lot other sensations. Now, because the HF8 Pro is more powerful than the HF8, it does mean that there is more intensity to the haptics itself. So it's an improvement to the experience that I had with the HF8, but yeah, because you only use the sound, it's just a limited improvement. Now, there are of course ways to use game telemetry to drive the HF8 Pro instead of the sound output of the console, but for this you need a computer. I will link a video here in the corner on the procedure on how it works to use the game telemetry to drive the HF8 Pro, and it's really an added sensation. If you have the possibility to do this, then I would really recommend to use it. So if you would ask me the question, yeah, I'm just on console, is it worth it really, the 280 euro to use it? And then I would say, well, the problem is with sound output, and this is for these haptics, but it's also for other haptics, Bashake kits, whatever, that use the sound output. The return that you get is, yeah, if I have to put it really nice, it's just a massage. and that's, yeah, it's a bit expensive just to give massages. So very underwhelming when you use it on console, but very powerful when you use it in combination with SimHub or the HFS software of Next Level Racing. One of the few advantages of the HF8 Pro is that you can just mount it on any rig. So even the foldable rigs out there, it's just a mat, so you just place it in the seating area and you can enjoy haptics on your very space efficient sim rig. And this is not the case with bass shakers. A bass shaker always needs some sort of attachment point, and the foldable rigs in general are not really suited to add a bass shaker kit to. What I also think is that with the HF8 pad, that the sentiments that you get are much more precise. You can differentiate left and right very easily, and also the back and the under your legs, the lower back and the higher back. Well, that is also very much a different feeling that you can generate. And this is not so much the case with the bass shakers. Even if you put some bass shakers, 4 bass shakers on your sim rig, well, it's still more difficult to feel the differentiation than you have with an HF8. The last point for the HF8 would be that it is very easy to install. It is plug and play. One cable USB goes into your PC, and one cable just goes into the power supply, and that's it. It is recognized very directly in the SimHub software and in the HFS software. So yeah, very plug and play, easy to install. The counterpoints for the HF8 would be that even with the increased power of the HF8 Pro, that it still cannot hold a candle against the power that a bass shaker kit can generate. So yeah, if you really are into it for the power, then yeah, a bass shaker kit will just be better. It also resonates the frame a lot more with the bass shaker kit, and this is something that I personally really like, that the entire frame resonates with the bass shaker kit, and this is not the case with the HF8 Pro. I also think that the little mat, no matter how good that they style it, it ruins a bit the seat that you have. So with the mat in it, I think personally it looks a bit sloppy. But yeah, that's all aesthetic. That's an aesthetic reason, something very subjective. So yeah, I can't really hold it against it. As a conclusion, I want to say that I am really a fan of the HF8 Pro. It's a very easy solution to add immersion to your driving experience, not only for racers, but also for those that drive like with the bigger hardware or the normal cars. This is really a good addition to your sim rig. When you are in a market to buy some haptics, I genuinely think that this should be on your comparison list. From the moment that I tested the HF8 Classic more than 2 years ago, I have been convinced of the value of this type of hardware. Granted, it's not given away at its current price, and it might look a bit off when you install it on your seat. But those are just very small remarks on a generally decent product. I also like the fact that when they upgraded the HF8, that they focused on the most important issues the people had with it. Give it a bit more power, make your back less sweaty, and make it a bit more comfortable in general. Nothing too fancy, just to the point, and I can honestly say that the improvements they made were all additions. Another strong point would be its easy installment, and in particularly that it can also be used in desk chairs and foldable cockpits. This makes full body haptics not only an option for the people that can afford both money and space for a full-blown rig. The major pain point, however, remains the compatibility with console. I can understand when people see reviews about the usage of the HF8 Pro with game telemetry that they may be disappointed when using it on a console or a PC with just the audio. That being said, I can recommend both the HF8 and the HF8 Pro for anyone looking to add haptics to their simulated driving. A last question may be if it is worth upgrading from the HF8 to the HF8 Pro. I wouldn't necessarily say it's worth the money. The HF8 is already a great product in its own right, and putting in €280 despite its improvements would be, in my opinion, a bit over the top. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had something from this video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I will see you all next one. Bye bye.